My trip to Villa Escudero started with my desire to visit their waterfalls restaurant that I had seen on social media years and years ago. I think it was even only a photo that I saw, and I knew that I had to go there one day. I hadn't visited the Philippines in 20 years, but opportunity presented itself when my cousin got married and we were all invited to come. What I experienced here after 2 nights was beyond anything that I could have even anticipated. If you aren't familiar with this place, because I sure wasn't, it's described to be a place where Filipino cultural heritage comes to life, and that couldn't be any more true. Our trip to Villa Escudero started from Alabang, and it was about 2 hours. After leaving the city area and getting off a highway, we were driving through the provinces, and it was really cool to see all their different personalities. As soon as we reached the entrance to the province of Quezon, the sign to Villa Escudero was immediately hanging on the left, and it was so tiny. As you drive down this dirt road, you are just surrounded by lush vegetation of trees and plants, and some even had fruit on it. The further down the road we got, which there was a ton of road for this entrance, it was like being transported into a different time. Apparently you could fit 3 towns in this entire space that they own. We got to the first reception area where you check into your rooms, or you can pay for a day tour. Either way, you'll receive tickets for entrance through the main gate, the carabao rides in and out, and your meals. Once you are through that main gate, it gets real. We waited for our turn to take a carabao ride in, and to our surprise, we had people hop onto our ride singing to us. I felt like this added so much more, and it was just immersing us into what was to come. The first stop was in front of a shop, which is close to the Waterfalls restaurant, but because we were staying overnight, we got dropped off at the second location, which was basically the equivalent of a hotel lobby. Workers came and took our bags and wheeled them around to our room right around the corner. These rooms were called the long houses. We were staying in Banaba with my cousin and his family in a separate room to the left. This room had a loft where you could climb up, and there was a single small bed up there with a little table. Not gonna lie, I was getting some interesting vibes up there, and come to find out, my cousin's wife had a weird experience in her room to the left. The bathroom is separated from the main room by a curtain, and the toilet and shower are in separate rooms. The amenities are nice and branded. We had Kleenex and Dove body wash, and they even had baby wash for my son. On the shelf in the main room, we were provided free fruit and bottled water, and also had a little coffee bar. The fridge had beer and soda, but it was for purchase. I was extremely excited to eat at Labasin Waterfalls, and it was so nice to see it in person. I learned that these actually aren't natural and are a runoff from the Labasin Dam, which was man-made and powered by the Villa Escudero hydroelectric power plant right above it. If you have a baby or a toddler, it's definitely not advised to go into the water and eat because it is kind of slippery. But there's a side area to eat at where you don't have to sit in the water, and it's also PWD friendly. Every main meal service offered here is a buffet, and we actually were able to have a service where the workers brought us plates of every food offered at the buffet. And if we had requests for more of a certain kind, they would go back and get more for us. It was actually super nice, and they were amazing. Since it was a weekend, Villa Escudero actually offers a Philippine Experience show, which showcases traditional dances from around the Philippines. My parents even told me that some of the dances they did were very old, and this was their way of trying to preserve that history. It was incredibly fun to watch, and there were even some comedy skits mixed in. The next morning, I took some time to check out the pool area before I got busy with people. My late uncle, who was the dad of my cousin who had just gotten married and who was hanging out with us, redesigned this entire pool area, and this was his vision. I hadn't seen him in person since I was last in the Philippines, so over 20 years ago, but I've seen him on FaceTime, and he was very close to my parents, so being here and learning that he created this, and especially being with his family, meant so much to me. On this second day, my cousin and his family went back home, but his mom, who's my dad's first cousin, stayed with us another night, and surprise, she upgraded our room to a riverside cottage with AC. There are some rooms without any AC, so you definitely want to request it if it's something that you want. Our unit was called Gumamela, and I had seen the photos of these units prior to being here, and again, seeing it in person just blew me away. The details were beautiful, and before dinner, we were just sitting around, relaxing, eating snacks, and all of a sudden, heard an acoustic guitar begin to play. My mom looked around the corner from our room's enclosed patio, and there were 3 guys doing a harana. On our last morning here, we had breakfast, and it was a super beautiful morning, so it was already perfect. I have to admit, their breakfast buffet was my favorite out of all the buffets they offered for every meal. And this morning was especially perfect because they had so many of my familiar favorites like corned beef, longanisa, and pork tocino. There was also an omelet station available, but I went ahead and skipped that and just got a bowl of champurrado and arroz caldo, then grabbed some juice to wash it all down. Before leaving, I checked out their items for sale and bought some cocoa jam, which, I'm not gonna lie, I'm already halfway through the jar. We did check out the museums on the way out, and they are filled with so much history and religious artifacts, but unfortunately you can't take video or take photos inside. Afterwards, we headed out and said goodbye to Villa Escudero. What an amazing time, and I got more out of this experience than I was expecting. Thanks for watching this part of my travel diaries to the Philippines, and I'll catch you in the next one.